But what we could do is play this game. It's called the playoff game. And what we're going to do is figure out who's going to make the playoffs. Now, what we want to do is use this tier system, and we'll do the AFC only. We'll use this tier system to figure out who's a playoff lock, who's likely to make the playoffs, and who's a maybe. Maybe. And then no P-offs for you. Those are people who are not definitely not making the playoffs, and then the Dolphins. So this is how we'll do it. And if we have any questions, we could use PFF, or we could use like this depth chart here if we forgot who's on the team. I forgot, who did they get? What's going on? Who'd they let go of? We'll use this to remind us who's on the team. So, that being the case, I think we can all agree, for example, that a playoff lock is probably your Buffalo Bills, right? I don't think there's anybody. Let me know in the chat if you feel differently. But we can all pretty much agree, Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills, they're going to the playoffs. All right? Now, what about the Ravens? We'll put them in maybe for now. But what about or maybe we should do the Patriots. Where's the Patriots at? The Patriots. So here's the Patriot roster, in case you don't know. And it's a pretty good roster. They basically swapped out Dobbs and Diggs. Diggs for Dobbs, Dobbs for Diggs. Diggs is out, Dobbs is in. And then they have kind of okay wide receivers. They have a good tight end. They need some depth there. They'll probably get some in the draft. And then their line is really dependent upon AVT being healthy, and then Will Campbell getting back to his normal form after his knee injury really probably hampered him in the playoffs. They could use some depth like everybody. But this, if everybody's healthy, this is a pretty decent O-line. So the offense is looking pretty good. I'm sure they're going to pick a wide receiver or two in the draft, and things will be looking pretty good for that. And then on defense, they have Barmore, Farmer, Williams as their linemen, Landry, Ellis, Spillane, and Draymond Jones as a linebacker. So this is a pretty strong defense. Carlton Davis, if he stays healthy, is very good. Christian Gonzalez is a superstar. Woodson did well last year. They picked up Bayard, who's very good. And, of course, Marcus Jones also. So, again, they could use some depth, but this is a good team. So, I think, I don't know, it's between maybe and likely for the Patriots. Put in the chat what you think, maybe or likely. I don't think it's hard to put them in definitely not. And it's hard to make them a lock because they had a very easy schedule last year. So a lot of the player performance that they had was against a very easy schedule. So are all those people going to perform at the same high level that they did last year? And does AVT stay healthy? That's a big consideration. And we're doing this before the draft, so then we can compare after the draft. So Phil says likely. Everybody agree, playoffs likely. That's 2 AFC East teams in the likely category. Put your thoughts in the comments. Is it likely? Probably not a lock, right? We got to see it from May. We got to see if AVT can stay healthy. We got to see if the knee was really the problem with Will Campbell, or was it his T-Rex arms? We don't know. Bialy says 8-win team. Well, an 8-win team, Bialy, would be more of a maybe. 8 wins. You think that's an 8-win team, Bialy? Bradigan says maybe. Joe Mike says likely. You think this is an 8-win team? Well, you got to understand that Drake May is a superstar. So if you don't understand that, I don't know what to tell you. So he's going to raise the level of this team. Yeah, and probably their first round pick's probably going to be a wide receiver. So this crew is going to get upgraded. It's really the biggest hole they have. After that, they're pretty solid. They need some depth on O-line. They need another tight end. They need depth all over the defense, but the starters are pretty solid. I don't know how you could say maybe. You think May is going to regress? It's hard to say May is going to regress. Even if he does regress a little, he's still going to be very good. So we got a split between likely and maybe. We got one likely, we got two likelies, and two maybes. So I'm going to have to break the tie. I'm going to go likely. And the reason I'm going to go likely is because one of the reasons the Jets have to be maybes. Now, you may say, wait a minute. How can the Jets be maybes? Oh yeah, Joe Mike says if New England winds up with AJ Brown, then that changes the equation. Now, we're just basing it off of this roster here. We'll do a new one once we get closer to the season, we'll do a new one. But right now we're just analyzing this roster, pre-draft. So keep that in mind. Of course, AJ Brown would change the equation. And if you look at this to remind everybody, since we're talking about the AFC East, in terms of talent, look at the green bar. The Patriots have the most, then the Jets, then the Bills, then the Dolphins. Now, what this chart shows you is the combination of blue chip players, red chip players, orange chip players. So it's how many average to above average players do you have on your team? And you need to have a lot of these guys to compete. Now, there's different mixes. So, for example, the Bills have the most blue chippers, and the Bills and the Patriots, their blue chippers are the quarterbacks. So that makes a big difference. But this is just to remind people what the Jets really did this offseason in terms of the roster. They raised the floor significantly. This is based off of the Bucky Brooks theory that you need 8 to 12 blue chippers needed for the Super Bowl. And if I were the Bills, I'd be worried because you're supposed to be a Super Bowl team and you're a little short. And again, you're going to be looking for Josh Allen to carry the whole damn team. But nonetheless, in case you're saying, well, there's no way the Jets can be a maybe because we had 3 wins. Yeah, but we added a lot of talent. And don't forget, we have the most draft capital this year of any team. So we could add significantly to this, whereas the Patriots and Bills are going to be looking to improve around the edges. Like the Patriots and Bills are going to be looking to get orange chippers. Basically, maybe they hope for a red chipper with their 1 first-round pick. But after that, they're going to be hoping to get some. We could get multiple blue chippers and red chippers. If everything goes right. So the Jet roster is in a much better place than people think. So if we're going to be, the Patriots did go to the Super Bowl last year, even though on a weak schedule and a weird playoffs. So if the Jets are going to be maybes, then I think the Patriots have to be likelies. That's the way I'd put it. Yeah, how about them Jets? I just did that, right? May going to regress, New England. So how about them Jets? So when we're in this view, the comments, I can't bring them up. I'm going to have to fix that, actually. But for now, I can't. So how about them Jets said, can you compare the AFC East teams to the Jets? So that's what this analysis does. And you can see the blue bar is the blue chippers. So you can see Buffalo has the most blue chippers. The red is red chippers, and this is all based on PFF grade. So if you get an 80 or higher, you're a blue chipper. If you got a 70, between 70 and 80, you're a red chipper. 60 and 70, you're an orange chipper. Okay? Just to give something to compare to. Doesn't mean those things are the Bible or anything, but just to help us compare. And you can see that the Patriots are in the lead here. But they're a little low on blue chip talent. They only got 1. But they have a lot of red chippers from last year's grades, that is. Now, the Patriots played a weak schedule, so maybe those red chippers aren't so red. Maybe they're actually orange chippers if they played a normal schedule. But and you can see we did a good job of just improving our talent because last year we were in this position where the Dolphins are. And the Dolphins are rebuilding, so Dolphins fans shouldn't get upset because they're reloading. They have to take on a lot of dead cap. They're reloading. They're looking at 27 to start competing. So everybody knows that they're in the basement. But the Jets can't afford that luxury. We got to compete this year. And so we did what we did with the roster, and it's looking pretty good. Now we got to really kill this draft, and then it'll be looking really good. So that's the case. The Patriots have the most orange or better chippers, and they went to the damn Super Bowl last year. So I think you got to make them likely, whereas the Jets are a maybe. Maybe. Phil says, happy enough with maybe for the Jets. That's a major improvement. Yeah. Hefe says maybe for New England. May regressing. Also, Reese demolishing Campbell for 4-6. Let's hope so. Joe Mike, the schedule is not kind to the Jets. Hard to put them as maybe, but if the Buffalo Sabres can break their playoff drought, gives us hope. Yeah. So we can't really worry about the schedule at this point, Joe, I would say. We don't know what teams are going to do. We don't know how teams are going to perform, who's going to regress. What you could do is you could look back and say, last year, certainly, the Patriots had a very weak schedule because you don't know what quarterbacks are going to get injured, what's going to happen, right? So teams you thought were good actually turned out to be bad. So I wouldn't worry about the schedule just yet. We know we got to play the Bills, the Patriots, and the Dolphins. One thing you could say is we got to beat the Dolphins twice this year. I mean, while they're down, we got to kick them, right? We got to win 2 against them because at most we're probably going to win 1 against the Bills and Patriots. I mean, if everything goes right, we could maybe win 2 out of the 4 against them. But if we're going to have any hope, we definitely got to beat the Dolphins twice and then hope we can get 1, maybe 2 out of the Patriots, Bills, and then we'll be looking pretty good. And we'll see what the rest of the schedule looks like. But Bo Nix, for example, we're playing Denver this year because we always play Denver for some fucking reason. Bo Nix is coming off surgery. He hasn't been able to work out all offseason. Is he going to regress? He's not very good, but he does have the clutch gene. It's like I've never seen a quarterback play so bad for 3.5 quarters, and then the fourth quarter, he just does all this miraculous shit. It's crazy. Is he going to continue to do that, or are teams going to adjust to him? Because if that happens, then Denver becomes a much different team. Plus, they lost some people off the defense, so are they going to be as dominant on defense? They'll still be good. But things like that need to be determined before you know what's going on with the teams. All right, so let's go to the Ravens. Now, you may have forgotten who the hell is on the Ravens anyways. So let's look at their roster. We all know they have Lamar, so that's excellent. Derrick Henry, is he ever going to slow down? Can Derrick Henry ever slow down? They almost certainly are going to pick a wide receiver. They need wide receiver pretty bad as usual. They got nothing here. Bateman gets hurt a lot. They do have Zay Flowers. He's excellent. Tez Walker, okay. Now, they lost Isaiah Likely. They still have Andrews, so they chose Andrews over Likely. They'll probably take more tight ends. They love their tight ends. They lost their fullback. How's that going to affect the offense? Their great fullback, Ricard. And then their line, this is not great. I mean, so what the hell? The Ravens, Stanley, Voorhees, Pinter, Simpson, Rosengarten. They need a lot. They need a wide receiver. They need a backup tight end. They need linemen. Boy, oh boy, I don't know about this team. This is not a good team, at least right now. I don't think. You guys think any different? Then their defense, which is usually their strength, they got Matabuike. He's got to come back. We don't know about him. He had a serious neck injury. Matabuike. Travis Jones is good. John Jenkins, I don't know who that is. Mike Green, they got to hope he steps up. Roquan Smith, solid. They did pick up, of course, Trey Hendrickson. That should help them greatly. Then their back end is good. Humphrey, Awuzie, Starks, Hamilton. That's a good back end, I think. So this back end should be good. They got to hope Matabuike is okay. And that Green, Mike Green, takes a step up. But a pretty solid defense, I think you could say, here. What they really need to focus on in the draft, it seems to me, is offense. And they really need, because Matabuike, when he's right, when he's healthy, he is tough to deal with. But this team right now with this offense, I mean, Lamar's going to have to run around a lot. I mean, he's got two receivers, basically, and Bateman gets hurt all the time and is on the trading block, apparently. I don't know how they would – I'm not sure why the Ravens would trade him. They got nothing behind unless they think they're going to get guys. But then they also need – I mean, Stanley, Voorhees, Pinter, Simpson, and Rosengarten. This is a whole bunch of meh for the O-line. And Henry, at some point, Derrick Henry has to stop being, Superman. I mean, at some point, how the hell old is this guy? He's got to stop beating the odds at some point. One would think, but who knows? He's amazing. So, I don't know. I think they're a maybe. I think you got to put them in maybe. New head coach. Yeah, they have a new head coach. Who knows how Jesse Minter's going to be? Maybe he's great. Maybe they stink. Plus, they lost the OC, Todd Monken, Joe Mike says, so there's going to be regression. All right, but I'm putting them in maybe, even with all that. Or you want me to put them in no playoffs for you? All right, it's time to vote now. No playoffs or maybe? I think we're pretty sure we can't say it's likely for them. I think we're in the maybe or no playoffs for you. So vote now in the chat. One thing about the Ravens is that they always, they do draft well typically. They know about and use the loser's curse as a guiding philosophy. Vote now in the chat, maybe or no playoffs for you. Phil Adams says maybe. Put it in the chat. Put it in the chat. Let's go. This is where you got to participate. Let's wake up in the chat. Let's go. It's not a fun game. B. Travis says no playoffs. Bradigan says maybe. Maybe. All right, 3 maybes. Going once, going twice. All right, the Ravens are maybes. Another maybe from Snoopy. No playoffs from Paganardi. All right, a lot of maybes. All right, good. So we'll stick with maybe. So the Ravens and Jets are the same. All right, who's next on the list? Let's take a look at the Bengalis. Let's see what they look like these days. We know they got Joe Burrow over here and Joe Flacco and Josh Johnson. I mean, they really loaded up on the old man QBs. They got Chase Brown, Jamar Chase, a lot of chasing going on there. T. Higgins. And then after that, they got Jaceki, Yoshivas. So the receiving core remains good. The offensive line, Dylan Fairchild. Who the hell is Dylan Fairchild? Is Amarius Mims good? Let's see. Amarius Mims. How did he do? I remember watching him a little bit. He looked like he was doing good. Amarius Mims. Yeah, he did a better than average. So he was kind of average his first year. Above average. All right. So that's good for Amarius. Who the hell is Dylan Fairchild? Anybody know? Dylan Fairchild? Never heard of him. Maybe this is what. But they also need defense very badly. Maybe he's good. I don't know. Dylan Fairchild, third round pick. Uh, well, average. All right, that's not bad. 6 penalties. Yeah, played 961 snaps. All right, I never heard of him. Plus, you got Zeus Orlando Brown over here, Dalton Reisner. So I guess this line is okay at least. So the offense is looking good. Their problem is defense. Now they got Boye Mafe. This defense needs a lot of work. Let's put it that way. They do have Brian. They did sign Brian Cook. That was a good move. Kyle Duggar probably will win this job here. They need corners. I don't think Dax Hill's going to really do it. They need linebackers. They need a lot of help here. They need Shamar Stewart to develop, that's for sure. That was a high draft pick. He needs to be, they got him at second string over here. That's not acceptable. He's got to be better. Miles Murphy. So they're going to pick, all right, so these guys, basically, with this team, Joe Burrow's going to have to carry them again. This is sort of like the offense. Chase and Higgins are going to have to, along with Burrow, carry this whole team because this defense is still no bueno. So I think there are no playoffs for you, personally. But vote now. Vote now, Cincinnati Bengals. I think it's certainly between no playoffs for you and maybe. You certainly, with that roster, you can't make it likely or a lock. So vote now for Cincinnati. Vote now for Cincinnati, maybe or no playoffs for you. Yeah, Ben Younger says Burrow can go off and win. Right. So that's basically what they're counting on is Burrow and the receivers just going crazy. Is that enough? Or certainly not going to make playoffs likely, but it's between maybe and no playoffs for you. They're not going to be in the Dolphins tier. That's really the rebuilding tier. So vote now, maybe or no playoffs for you. Let's get some participation, chat. Let's go. This is the game that we're playing. We're playing on Coffee with Frankie, the AFC playoff tier game. Bialy says no. B-Trav says maybe. Peg and Artie says maybe. Bring up some of these comments. This view over here, no. Peg and Artie says maybe. Mad Merch says no. Phil Adams says maybe. So we got 3 maybes, 4 maybes. Going once, going twice. So we got 4 maybes, so that means right now they're up here. Anybody else? Anybody else in the chat? All right. You got to have your voice heard. If you want to play this game. Cincinnati. So let's keep going then. Let's go and see who else. The Cleveland Browns. Now, this is going to be a tricky-ass team. What are they going to do with a quarterback? Because this team is very easy to sort of analyze, right? They have a good running back situation. They need wide receiver very badly. They have a decent tight end here, but they need some depth. But this O-line is no bueno, even with all the things they did. Tevin Jenkins, Titus Howard, they made a trade for. Elton Jenkins, they signed. He's coming off an injury. Zion Johnson, DeJuan Jones, also coming off of injury. So this team needs wide receiver and offensive line very badly, although they did a decent job of, remember, they had 0 people coming back when the season ended. So they did a good job at least getting some starter level potential guys. And then the defense is really good, and they added Quincy Williams. So I think, once again, this defense is going to be good now. Of course, they could make a trade. as has been speculated with Myles Garrett. If you trade Myles Garrett out of here, then this whole thing changes. But even Malik Williams, Mason Graham, Alex Wright, JOK is not playing. I don't think. He has a serious neck injury. I think his career is over. If he came back, that would be wonderful, but it seems like he's not. I think his career is in jeopardy, but I could be wrong about that. Then you have Schlesinger, who's excellent. Then you have Quincy, I think will play excellent. Don't forget their new DC is Coach Rudy. So he's going to know how to use Quincy. Then you have Ward, who's excellent. Delpit, who's good. Hickman, Tyson Campbell, who's fine. And they need some help. They need to find a nickel player. But I don't know. Maybe Miles Harden is good. I don't know. But the defense here is, so this is the same old story. The defense is solid, especially if they don't trade Myles Garrett. They'll draft, another corner and another backer here. But the main thing is what's going on at quarterback and what's going on at wide receiver and offensive line. It's all about the offense. So they're going to be all about the offense in this draft. And then it just depends on what you think about Shedeur Sanders or Deshaun Watson. Personally, this may be controversial, but I think Deshaun Watson, healthy, is going to win this job. If it's a fair fight, I think you're going to see Deshaun Watson be QB1. Maybe not, but that's my personal opinion. A lot of people are going to be upset. The Shedorian cult is going to be upset about it, but I think Deshaun wins the job. And then it's about, okay, what else can they get besides Judy? These are not good enough. Malachi plays a little gadget role for them and kick returns. But they need to improve the wide receiving core, and then can they get enough out of this line to keep whoever the quarterback is upright to play the game? So all that being said, I don't think you can really consider them at all likely. It's between no playoffs, but they're also not a rebuilding total disaster Dolphins level team. So it's between no playoffs for you or maybe. Browns will lose every game 16-13. No playoffs, no. Yeah, vote now if you haven't already. Chris Bradigan says no. Boss Girl says no. Benji. So let's go over here so we can bring these off. No playoffs. Boss Girl says no. Browns top 5 picks, so that would be a no. Bialy Watson going to be an MVP conversation. LOL, no. No playoffs. All right, so everybody's saying no. Phil says maybe. Joe Mike says Malachi Corley. Just kidding. B-Trap says no. All right, everybody's saying no. So that's the Browns. All right. So everybody pretty consensus there. Now, let's go and see what else we got in this NFL AFC. What about the Steelers? Now, Steelers are going to be hard because we don't know their quarterback. Right now, it's looking thin, but of course, we have not been graced with the information about freaking Aaron Rodgers. But nonetheless, they have some decent running backs, Warren, and they signed Dowdle and Caleb Johnson and Travis Homer, so they have some good depth at running back. They also picked up Michael Pittman. The Pittman goes to Pittsburgh. That's a good story. And they have DK, of course. They could use another one. Roman Wilson has been very disappointing, and they have no depth whatsoever. John Rice Plumlee is a UCF guy. FYI, he also played center field in baseball, while he also played quarterback, and now he's a wide receiver. In case you were wondering about John Rice Plumlee. Now, their tight end situation, they got the Freiermuth, they got Mount Washington, and they let Jonnu go, so they have less there. And then the line is not great, I would say. Zach Frazier's nice. Broderick Jones has been a disappointment. Fatanu has been good at times, had some knee issues. I'm not so sure about these two. And then you go to the defense. The defense is old and getting older. Derek Harmon was a nice pick. Benton Hayward's like 30 million years old. TJ Watt getting older. Malik Harrison. Patrick Queen. Highsmith is excellent. Then you have Porter, Elliott, Brisker, and Dean and Ramsey. So they did a lot in this back end here. If you notice, Brisker's new, so they got Kwani Brisker and Jamel Dean. Those are excellent players, and they already had Porter and Elliott, so and Ramsey. So this is a good backfield, I would say, even though Ramsey's getting older. Still have Eccles here. And Highsmith is excellent. Queen, you really have to worry about the front getting older. They'll probably, they could use another wide receiver in the draft, and then it just depends on, do they want Ty Simpson to add in here? So it's kind of hard to know since we don't know Aaron Rodgers' situation, but if they're starting Mason Rudolph or Will Howard, then certainly you cannot, they're certainly not in the likely category. So for the Steelers, it's going to be between no playoffs and maybe. So let's vote. No Tomlin, no playoffs, says Joe Mike. Steelers will implode, so that would be a no playoffs from Phil. Bialy, not sure of their schedule. Boss Girl Watson looked horrible before his 17 torn Achilles. Yeah, he didn't look good, but there was a time when he was one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, so that's a wild card. Who knows what the hell it is? Mad Merch says maybe. So we got 3 no's, 4 no's, I guess, and a couple of maybes. Oh, maybes is making a comeback. Oh, it's pretty tied here. We need a tiebreaker. Coach says, Mike McCarthy will pull him through. All right, so let's pull him into the maybes. All right. So I think we're done with the North, or with the North. So let's go down south. The Houston Texanians. They got C.J. Stroud. Took a couple of steps back. They got David Montgomery to complement Woody Marks. They got some decent wide receiver options here. Can Tank Dell make a recovery? They got Dalton Schultz. They probably need some depth at tight end. And then this line is, they picked up Wyatt Teller. He's old. Braden Smith is good. Jake Andrews, Evan Brown. I don't know about him. And Ariante Ursary. That's a guy I want to find out about. So how did Ursary wind up doing? You'll excuse me, I haven't kept up with all of the offensive linemen on the Texans recently. Well, he played, but he was below average and 13 penalties. Whoa. Too many penalties, Mr. Ursary. But, of course, that was his rookie year, so they're going to hope he improves. So that's something that needs to improve there. Evan Brown, never heard of him. Let's see. So they may have more work to do on this O-line. Evan Brown. Who the hell is this? Below average. So I'm not loving this offensive line, even with the work they did. They did pick up Teller. He's good, and Braden Smith is good. They did good on the right side. The left side, I'm worried about. Now, they're probably going to tell you, hey, Ursary's going to improve. Brown might be a weak point. Jake Andrews? Jake the Snake Andrews, also average. So, I'm not sure. I don't love this offensive line at all. So they're probably going to look to improve that in the draft, I would say. I do not love this O-line. I like the right side. They did good there. I just don't think they did good here. So, and then the defense, of course, Will Anderson, this defense is one of the best in the NFL, and it remains pretty much so. I don't think they lost too much here, and they added Reed Blankenship. So I would think this defense is still going to be hellacious. I don't see any real reason why not. Good corners, good nickelback. This is going to be a good defense as well. So it's really going to come down to the offensive line for the Texans and how they address that moving forward. But as of right now, then, considering this, I think you have to put them between. They were a playoff team last year, of course. I think you kind of have to put them between maybe and likely. Joe Mike says, playoffs, Houston. Defense very good. Pitt would be better if check down Charlie Aaron Rodgers retires. Maybe so, but then you have a question mark. Is it Will Howard or what? He won't because of his gargantuan narcissistic ego. Texans maybe. Mertz says likely. So is it likely or maybe? Vote now. Johnny votes maybe. So we got B-Trav says likely, and we got to. So Joe, we got to go back. Wait. Joe Mike says likely, essentially. Maybe, likely, maybe, likely. We got likely. All right, let's put him into likely simply because the defense. I mean, I don't know how much he could possibly regret, Bialy. I mean, he regressed pretty badly. It'll depend on that O-line. But let's, based on the way it is now, it seems like you guys are voting for likely. They made it last year. Stroud might improve. I mean, he might be better because he's been regressing. How much can he possibly regress? So I like them as likely. They made it last year. The defense is salacious. Stroud is probably a bounce back candidate more than a regression candidate, actually, I think. And so we'll leave them as a likely. All right, so let's keep going in the South. The Colts. Oh, boy. Now, this team, if you remember, has done the most regression on that chart of any of the teams. They got Daniel Jones, who's injured, and then Anthony Richardson is the backup. Jonathan Taylor's good. Alec Pierce is good. But they got rid of Pittman, so now their wide receivers are, other than Pierce, not bueno. They do have Tyler Warren, so perhaps they're just going to try to use him more. I mean, when your third wide receiver is Westbrook Akine, you got problems. So they need to get another wide receiver now since they let Pittman go. Their line is Raymond's okay. Nelson's good. I think Bordellini's good. How did Gonsalves play? One good use of PFF is for the offensive line play. Not always perfect, but how else are you going to judge these offensive linemen? Average. Well, above average. All right, so Gonsalves has played well, so that's good. And then Jalen Travis, never heard of him. So their offense is a little short on firepower right now. This guy, not a lot of experience here. So he played well, but only 316 total snaps. So that's got to be a question mark. Then the defense, they do have Michael Clemens, so you got to give them extra points for that. These guys are getting old. Stewart and Buckner, they're both very good. So is Leatulatu. They did trade their big linebacker who used to get all the tackles for them. This defense, Wanye Thomas is your starting safety. Cam Bynum. I don't love this defense. The linebacking core is weak. The line is okay. Arden Key is a backup. Clemens should really be over here. uh, I don't know. This is not a good team. I don't think they need wide receiver help. Their defense is not great. Their two best players on defense, other than Sauce, are getting old. And they have a giant hole on the line. I don't know how many of these things they're going to be able to fill. Plus, you have Daniel Jones, who's a high variance quarterback coming off of injury again. All right. So I think for the Colts, you certainly, the highest they could be is maybe, but I think we're going to say no. So let me know. Vote now for the Colts. Is it maybe, 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 or no playoffs for you? Colts top 3 pick for us. That would mean they have to be out of the playoffs. Colts for Jet's sake, no playoffs. Michael Clemens, no playoffs, no playoffs, no Colts this year. Okay, everybody voting the same. Yeah, no playoffs for you. Even Peg and Artie as well. Dolphins tier? Nah, they can't be Dolphins tier. I mean, they have some talent. So now the Titans. Now this is an interesting team. Well, a lot of it's going to be about, of course, Mr. Ward. But they do have some good backups: Pollard, Spears, Ridley, Wandell. So they probably need a third receiver. These guys aren't very good. Tight end, they could use some improvements. Gunnar Helms, pretty good. Bellinger, just familiarity with Daboll. Then the line is... J.C. Latham has been disappointing, to be honest. So this line worries me because Latham, we all thought would be better because he logged a 65 is all right, but then he was injured, 14 penalties. Oof. 65.5. So he got better. All right, maybe there's some hope for J.C. Latham. All right, good. Cordell Volson. Didn't play last year. That's a huge hole then. Right guard. They picked up Schlotman. So this line isn't great no matter how you look at it. It's got some pieces, but they need some more improvement. Schlotman. Oh, he's never been a full-time starter, so that's his problem. You're plucking this guy into starting role now. He's never played more than 363 snaps. Yeah, this line is worrisome. Then you got Skoronski and Dan Moore. Dan Moore, I don't know, maybe he's improved. Let's take a look. No, he's doing the same stuff. Yeah, this was a guy at Pittsburgh who was consistently underwhelming, so he's average at best. At best. He does play, though. I mean, he's durable. Had one above average year that got him paid. So I don't love this line. There's some work to do here. Now, on the defense, this is the Robert Saleh reunion tour. So they got John Franklin Myers, they got Jermaine Johnson, they got Jacob Martin. Look at all these guys that Solomon Thomas. Doesn't matter how bad you are. If he coached you before, he's going to coach you again. That's how he looks at it. This defense has Tony Adams starting. They did pick up Alontae Taylor. That's a really good player. This is not a good defense, though. This is a defense with some pieces and some things that you're hoping Franklin Myers can keep this up. He's getting up on age. He gave him a lot of money. Simmons is obviously a superstar. Jermaine is below average, and these guys stink. Uh, Gray and Barton, kind of old. Flott, you gave a lot of money to. I'm not sure he's so good. Tony Adams is your starting safety. That's not good. Lante Taylor is good. This team is not a playoff team. There's no doubt about it, right? There's no. This team is rebuilding, so I think they might be Dolphins tier. No playoffs. Losing team, same result. Everybody's saying no playoffs. Playoffs. All right, so that was an easy one. But it's also good to go through these rosters so we know them better than we currently do. Right, that does it for the South. So let's go to the West. 4 more teams to go. Denver Broncos made a playoff run last year. Now they got Bo Nix, of course, coming off of injury. They got J.K. Dobbins and R.J. Harvey. They picked up Waddle. That's what they did this offseason. So now they have Sutton, Waddle, Franklin. And I agree with recent reports saying they're not going to trade any of these guys. You know, the idea was maybe they'll trade Mims or Franklin, but they need them. Just because they got Waddle. I mean, these are going to be your main 2 guys, Sutton and Waddle. But then Franklin and Mims and Bryant are going to play roles, and Humphrey too. Then they got Evan Ingram, who's hot and cold. They got a good offensive line. So this offensive team comes down to the health of Bo Nix and whether he regresses and whether teams kind of adjust to his late game heroics. It was always the fourth quarter. He runs around and finds a guy open. That's basically his whole deal. And our team's going to adjust to that. The defense, let's take a look. Still looking pretty good, even with some of the losses they've had. Good, 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 good. Yeah, this is going to be you can't mess with this defense. Boy. Yeah, so this is still solid. They're probably not as deep, but still, they got a lot of good players on this defense here, even without JFM and even without Dre Greenlaw. This is a solid as hell defense. So I think this is a likely playoff team. All dependent upon Nix, but the offense is looking good with Sean Payton. They picked up Waddle. That was really the thing they needed. The offensive line is strong. They have fine tight ends. It all comes down to Nix, and the defense should remain solid as hell. So that's almost definitely playoffs likely. Yeah, Broncos likely. Everybody's saying likely, 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 likely. I don't trust Bo Nix, but I do trust Sean Payton. Yeah. So then we have. So we don't need to go into the comments. So let's go to. Let's go to the next team, the Chiefs, the Jefes. Boss Girl should like this team. They're the Jefes. Now, they are getting the gang back together in terms of Travis Kelce coming back. Rashee Rice, the NFL did not punish him. They signed Kenneth Walker. That was the big signing of the offseason for them. Xavier Worthy, Tyquan Thornton. I mean, everything. Well, Josh Simmons, Kingsley Suamatia. Smith is very good. Simmons is good. The offensive line, and of course, Humphrey's very good. But Jalen Moore, they need offensive line help. And of course, everything's going to come back to the health of Mahomes. They're saying he might miss one game or something, and Fields might start the opener. But ultimately, is Mahomes' mobility affected at all? If so, that's a big part of his game, the lateral scrambling. So we'll have to see about that. Let's look at the defense. Karlaftis Jones. This is a little weak here. They need some bulking up. This part of it. Cole Christensen. Who are these people? Shamari Connor? No, this defense is not good. What? So they're going to, I don't know. These Chiefs, this is not a solid defense. Who the hell is Cole Christensen? Who's Noel Williams? Who are these people? Shamari Connor? What? These guys, so the defense is weak. That needs help. The offense is dependent upon Mahomes being Mahomes. Maybe they'll just run the hell out of the ball more with Kenneth Walker. The O-line is okay. Travis Kelce, is he going to take a step back or two? I mean, at some point, he has to play like the old man that he is. So, I don't know. Chiefs, vote on the Chiefs. Jefe's Chiefs, maybe, says Joe Mike. Plus Swifties, oh yeah. Plus the NFL is going to push them, of course. So they're definitely in the maybe or likely category. But vote now. Is it maybe or likely? Maybe for a change. All right, we got 3 maybe votes here. Mad Mertz, maybe. Johnny, maybe. B-Trav, likely. So 3-1, maybe. 4-1, maybe with Peg and Artie. All right, so it looks like the Chiefs are going to land on the maybe tier. Seems right. But you notice we don't have, right now, Bradigan's maybe. All right, so they're a maybe. But if you notice, we don't have that many likelies. We have one lock and 3 likelies. Remember, there's 7 teams that get in. I mean, this is looking pretty good for the Jets. Phil Adams says likely, but he got outvoted. So, now this is, got to see how the rest of the offseason plays out. But as of right now, I don't see why there shouldn't be more optimism for the Jets. All right, let's keep going. Got 2 more teams to do. Depth chart for the Vegas. Okay, then we got the Raiders. They're not going to make the playoffs. They're going to have Mendoza and Cousins, obviously. Cousins, and then this offensive line that stinks. Miller's good. Burford stinks. Linderbaum, excellent. JPJ's okay. Glaze stinks. So they got to bulk up this line. They got no receivers at all. Trey Tucker, Jalen Naylor, Jack Betch. I mean, they're meh. They got Brock Bowers, a superstar, and still Michael Mayer, pretty good. They picked up Connor Hayward, the fullback / tight end, but this offense stinks. And then the defense, their big acquisitions were Dean and Walker. The defense is looking better. Darian Porter, Taron Johnson is a big pickup. So the defense is going to improve, I would say. But then the offense is a big problem. Now, the problem with the defense is Max Crosby. If Max Crosby is not his normal awesome self because of his multiple injuries and not being able to do off-season, workouts like he normally does, then you're going to see a decline there. And the rest of the line is looking, man. But really, Tyree Wilson plays on the line, and I think Kuntz does too. But then you have Dean and Walker, who are good, so that's going to be an improvement. Jonah Lealu, Adam Butler, and Thomas Booker, I think they're going to be improved, but they're not going to be good. And then the offense has a ton of holes, no receivers. Cousins is 39 years old. Mendoza, the rookie, is going to probably get killed if he plays behind this line, even with $27 million Tyler Linderbaum. No, they're not making the playoffs, and I don't think that's any surprise. So, and do we need to vote on that? I don't think so. There a no. Yeah, this is pretty obvious. So then we go to the last team. I mean, this is it in the entire AFC. This is who we're competing against. And don't forget, we have the most value in our draft picks. Now the Chargers are going to be a likely. Chargers, they're going to be a great team. So Chargers are probably my pick for the Super Bowl. Don't forget they picked up Mike McDonald is their OC. Brilliant. He's going to team up with Herbert, Hampton, Lad McConkey, Quentin Johnston. I don't understand why they would trade Quentin Johnston. They need him. They're going to be on a Super Bowl run, so I don't believe those rumors. Then they got Aronde Gadsden and Charlie Kolar, pretty good tight ends. Alec Ingold, the fullback, and their line, if healthy. Well, the guards are a little not great. Joe Alt is great. Rashawn Slater. Tyler Biadasz is good. Trevor Penning. So their problem could be guard, but they'll probably try to address that in the draft. Trevor Penning they're going with. Oof. No. 53.6. Oof. So they need some upgrades at guard. Penning, no bueno. Cole Strange. Oof. No bueno. I don't think. Does this team not want to protect Justin Herbert? I mean, what is go? Ugh. This guy's disgusting. Ugh. Okay, so we found the Achilles heel of the Chargers. Otherwise this is a Super Bowl team. But they'll probably just address this in the draft and improve one of them and hope the other one can survive. And then Alt and Slater have had injury problems. I'm just assuming they're coming back healthy. And if they can just get a really good guard somewhere, some way, they should be fine. The defense is good. Henley, Perryman, Khalil Mack, Derwin James. They probably need a better nickelback. But I think they're likely playoffs. I mean, I don't think there's any real. Oh, I think we forgot about the Jaguars. How did we forget the Jaguars? Did we forget anybody else? All right. So what about the Jaguars? We skipped over them. They're going to probably be likely, I would think. NFL. We skipped the Jaguars somehow. All right. Let's take a look at the Jaguars. They got Trevor. Running back room looking a little light. Their wide receiver room now with BTJ on it is pretty good. They got 3 good ones. Good tight end. Their O-line is all right. The defense looking a little light here. The D-line is pretty good. Armstead, Walker, and Hines Allen. Aluakon is a tackle machine. Ventrell Miller? I don't think so. Maybe he's good. I don't know. Well, they only played 220 snaps last year, so they're counting on a young guy to step up there, Jack Kaiser. So they need some linebacker help here. They need Travis Hunter to justify his draft position. They could use some safety help. I think this is a maybe. All right, we're going to have to vote on the Jaguars. For the Jaguars, they're either a maybe or a likely. Looking at that roster, it's looking like maybe to me. What do you think about Jags? Jags likely. Jags likely. Okay, so you guys like them better than me. All right. So that's the whole AFC picture. Jags no pick till 56. I think the Jags are more maybe, but then again, the quarterback play could lift them up. Likely no, says coach. Bradigan says maybe. Likely, maybe. And we'll put them at likely. And even if you look at this, there's basically one, two, three, four, five, 6 teams that are likely or better. And then we're fighting it out. Now, the thing people would say is, well, the Ravens have Lamar. The Bengals have Joe Burrow. The Chiefs have Mahomes. And the Jets have Geno. What are the chances we're going to snag the last spot from these teams? All right. But also, if we had a season, so Jackson, Orlando, yeah, I don't think this matters much. They're going to come down here and they'll just play in a different stadium. I don't see why that matters. Jacksonville to Orlando, their fans will probably travel, and then they'll probably get people in Orlando who want to go to an NFL game. And so, I don't know, if you look at this, even if we fight it out and lose, let's say the Chiefs get in there, but it's a fight to the finish and we lose in the last game of the season and we just miss, for us, that would be a successful season. I would like us to sneak in there, but for us, that would be a successful season. For some of these other teams, not so much. So, I don't know. That just gives you even more hope. And don't forget, if our draft picks really work out, we have the most draft capital of anyone in the whole NFL this year in terms of value. And if we hit on those picks and we get those impact players, then our roster should be significantly better than it is today. Whereas these other teams can really only improve so much.